Hi everybody, this is Oksana. Today we're going to be making another heart pendant, heart themed pendant since Valentine's Day is coming up. This time I thought that I would do one where the cabochon is not heart shaped. So if you have like an oval or a round cabochon and you want to somehow make a heart pendant by adding a heart onto it, I thought of this design, which to me looks like a balloon. It's meant to be like a little heart balloon, and this is like the string of it. So let's go ahead and get started making this pendant. For my wire, I'm going to be using three types of wire: 20 gauge square copper, 20 gauge round copper, and half round 24 gauge copper. These are from riogrande.com. They are all dead soft. And for tools, you're going to need cutters to cut the wire. These are Swanstrom, and pliers just to like press it down and tuck away wire ends. Mine are Lindstrom RX 7890. So we are going to start with three pieces of that 20 gauge square copper wire. This is going to be the frame for our pendant that holds our cabochon in place, and the three pieces measure 11 inches. Any kind of round or oval cabochon will work for this. Mine is a Labradorite and it is about 44 millimeters or 1 3/4 of an inch tall. So anywhere within that vicinity. It doesn't have to be this exact size, of course. If yours is much larger than mine, then I would maybe use 19 gauge or even 18 gauge for that square wire frame, just to hold it more securely, since it would be a larger stone. But for this size, the 20 gauge is sturdy enough. So I have my three pieces that I am starting with, and the first thing I'm doing is just trying to eyeball roughly where the middle of them is. Then I'm taking my half round wire and I am wrapping it around all three of those wires, just like this, flat side down, half rounded side up. I have a little tail end here that I grabbed, and so with the tail end you can just wrap around and around like this. But when you run out, with this other end that's attached to the spool, you can't just wrap it around and around, because since it's attached to the spool, it's twisted. So you have to guide it with one hand and then turn the piece with the other hand like this. And you want to do this for a little bit. You want to have a slightly longish bit here. Normally, it wouldn't need to be very long, because the whole point of this is just to hold those three wires together. But I'm going to make it just a little bit longer this time, because I think visually in this particular design, it looks a little bit better when it's longer like this. So I just trimmed those ends. Make sure wherever you trim them that it's on the same side, and that will be your underside. That's facing the stone that has the wire ends. And then we're just gonna press down on that just like this. Maybe push it together if you feel like it's come apart at all. If there's any kind of gaps or spaces there, just kind of push it closer together. And then what you want to do is you want to bend an angle in this, and you want it to be kind of in the middle. So let's see, I'm just taking my best guess where the middle is. You can always kind of adjust and mess around with it to get it to be more perfect after you start that initial bend. And I'm just trying to make it a nice kind of sharp bend here like this. I don't know if this is sharp enough. I think I might have to bend it a little more, but it depends on the stone. So I'll show you. I'm going to take my stone. My stone is quite narrow, and so because it's so narrow, if I put it into that angle, you can see it's like the tiniest little gap there. I don't want it to be that small. I want it to be a little larger because I'm gonna have to feed some wires through that gap. So I'm gonna bend this a little more into an even sharper angle. And then after I do that, I'm gonna check again how it's looking with my stone. It's a little bigger, but still quite small. So let's bend it even more than that. You might not have to if your stone isn't as narrow as mine. It's just because mine is so narrow that I have to make this angle like really sharp. All right, so I'm happy with that now. That's good. That'll be definitely enough space for me to squeeze the wires through there. So I'm just kind of centering it. So I'm just bending that frame, trying to keep this little point kind of nice and centered here. I don't want it too much off to any one side. You can put this all down and have it be flat on like a table as you do this, and then just bend your wires around your stone. And then here where they are coming to the top, you want to bring them together again, kind of centered at the top of your stone, and I'm just bending them side to side to get those little bends in them and have them come together like this. And now we're going to take our half round wire, make sure these are lined up properly, like there isn't any crisscrossing. They're just kind of stacked, these 3 wires and these 3 wires on top of each other like that. And then we're gonna wrap the little tail end of our wire around them a few times to hold them in place. Then I'm gonna press down on that and slide it kind of down this way as far as it goes. I'm gonna take the little wire end and pull it through onto the front like this. We'll trim it off in a minute. And now we're going to weave, or not weave, but just make our bail, wrap the wire around these front 2 most wires so they can be the bail. So since this is connected to the spool, then I need to just guide it with my hand and turn the piece, and then you can see the little wraps forming here on those 2 wires. So this will be our bail. So I'm going to keep going with this off camera because it's just kind of repetitive and it takes a little bit of time. But I like my bails to be about 3/4 of an inch. And then when you finish, so this side will be kind of the inside that gets hidden away. So that's where you want your little wire end to be. So if you're looking at it from the front like this, it's in here on the other side. So I'm going to press down on that little wire end, and then also just press on that whole little wrap going up my bail just to make it nice and flat like this. And then also get rid of this little wire here that we pulled to the front. Just trim that as short as I can, and then just get in there and kind of press down to hide away that little wire end there. And then we're going to separate these wires. There's 2 from each side, so we're going to bend them to their respective sides like this. And then the actual bail, I'm going to curve it. You can use something to curve it around, but I like to just do it with my fingers. Just curve it into this bail sort of shape. Now I'm going to press on it this way just to kind of close it so there's no gap. And then I'm taking these wires here and I am bending them, 1 on each side. So from front to back like this. And then I'm going to trim, but leave myself a little end so that I can take that little end and bend it inwards this way on the back. This is the back of the piece here that has these little ends, and I'm just going to press it down in there and just essentially tuck it away to get rid of the wire ends there, just like that. And now our bail is finished and it is connected to the frame. All right, so now it is done, the bail part, and we can put our stone in and lock it in place. So first on the back, I'm going to grab just that backmost wire and bend it on both sides like this. So now the back of the stone is trapped. And then here on the front, since there's quite a large area here, normally I go all the way down to where the wrap starts and I bend, but the stone isn't even there. So I'm just gonna go here to the bottom edge of the stone and bend there to trap my stone in from the front. The only thing is you have to do it the same on the other side or it's gonna look off. So you have to try to either measure or eyeball that it's in the same location. And then after you've done that and your stone is secured, we can go ahead and do that little heart decoration. And I like to do these wires last just because you can kind of work them around the heart that way. So for the heart balloon, I'm grabbing one piece of 20 gauge round wire. I think round works much better than the square for this. So if you have round, I think that would be a better choice than square, and it's 8 inches long. What we're gonna do is touch the ends of it together, and that way we figure out where the middle of our wire is. Grab it in that middle, and then let's go ahead and bend it in half. And we're just gonna press down on this so it's just like completely as close as possible, no little gap or anything between the wires, like that. Then I'm gonna grab that and hold it, just the very tip of it, as I take, as I take the other ends here and I bend them this way, kind of putting little curves in them. So I'm starting to make the little heart shape. And I don't know if it's easier for you to hold it with your pliers while you bend it, or just bend it with your fingers, or even use something round here to try to make the sides of the heart like a similar kind of curve. But basically you want to bend this into the shape of your heart, and I recommend that as you're doing this you go ahead and you kind of look how that heart is going to go onto your stone, and you size it accordingly and make it, you know, bigger or smaller, whatever you think will look good on your particular size and shape of stone. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to mess around with it a little bit, try to get it maybe a little smaller since my stone is so narrow. And then eventually when you're happy with it, what you want to do is twist these wires. So we're going to hold it here so that we don't change the shape of our heart. And then these two wires, we are going to twist them. And this part can be tricky because sometimes when you twist, they don't twist perfectly. For me, I find that as long as these two wires are kind of at the same angle with one another, then the twist comes out nice. So I always check them. If one of them starts to go more straight, that's when problems are going to start to occur, and then one of the wires is going to start wrapping around the other wire instead of making an even twist like this. So for me, the best is just to do it slow and careful, and just always kind of checking how these look. It's if I just try to go too fast and I'm not careful, that the twist starts to get really messed up on me. But here how it's looking so far. And how long you do this for also depends on your stone. So because my stone is more narrow and long than the typical oval, I think my twist is going to have to be a little bit longer as well, because this is meant to be like a little heart-shaped balloon, And so I want this part of it to be just sort of like a curvy, like a string of the balloon. So I like to just do this as I go along. I think that's too much of a bend. Let's see. And then I like to put it on the actual stone, on the actual pendant, and see how it looks. So here's the part where it's up to you. Do you want it higher? Do you want it lower? Do you want it kind of tilted to one side or more centered? All of that is up to you. I'm just gonna make my twist just a smidge longer. You want it to end right here where your stone ends. And now I'm just gonna work on this curved part here. I want to make it a little bit less of a sharp bend. All right, so this is how I want mine to go, kind of roughly like this. And now I think it's really great if you can hammer this. It just makes it look that much nicer. So if you have an iron block and chasing hammer, I would really recommend hammering this. It'll just give it a really nice flat look, and it'll also kind of strengthen the metal as well. Here's how it looks after being hammered. You can see what I mean now by it being flat, or these two wires. I'm gonna pinch here so it doesn't unravel my twist, and then I'm gonna bring the two wires together like this. Now I'm going to go ahead and place it how I want it to go on my stone here, like this. And the little ends here, I'm just gonna note where the stone ends, kind of curve them inwards. Now I'm gonna put them through. Let's see, fixing the position of the heart if necessary. Let's adjust everything. There we go, like that. And now I'm gonna take the wire ends here and I'm gonna wrap them around so they're coming out the back. I'm gonna bring them all the way around onto the front like this, and now I'm just gonna trim them and leave a little wire end. And then I'm gonna take my pliers, make sure the wire end isn't so long that when you press down on it, it comes out the other side. You want it to kind of get hidden away. So if it's really long and it pokes out the other side, you wanna trim these wires even shorter. So I'm just taking it, curving it in there. This is why we needed that little gap on the bottom of our frame, and pressing that down in there. I'm gonna bring these together this way as well. And now it's time to attach the heart so it doesn't move around. I'm using little pieces of that half round thin wire we were using before for the bail. And you're gonna need two pieces of this wire, one for one side of the heart and one for the other side of the heart. I just cut them to be a few inches long. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it through like this, the flat side touching the wire, the rounded side kind of facing me when I wrap. I'm just gonna wrap this a few times around this edge to attach it before I go ahead and add the heart into it. So first I'm just attaching the wire to the edge wire like this. There's my little wire end there. Gonna grab that and finish it off. It just worked out that my wire end is gonna be kind of here on the underside. You can always trim if it's not working out that way for you. That way the wire end is not visible. Now I'm gonna hold this, because if I don't hold it, it might twist around and then the wire end might be on the front again. So There we go, just like that. And I'm just gonna slide this up and look for a good area where the heart is right next to it, and I can go ahead and attach like this. So I'm wrapping around the heart and around that edge wire. And now that I've done that and the heart is attached, I'm wrapping just around the edge wire again, just a few times. All right, so I want this to have 4 wraps so that it matches the other side there, or it doesn't really matter how many you do, as long as it's enough to kind of keep it there, keep it steady. And then we just take that little end, turn it inwards, and press down on it, tuck it away. It's a little bit difficult because the heart is in the way, but there we go. So now one side of the heart is attached, and I just have to attach the other side depending on your stone. Maybe one side will be enough, but for me, because this is right up next to the other side, I might as well attach it. Plus it's kind of raised up. I feel like it'll catch on things, but it depends on how your heart is positioned and everything. And you might be attaching yours in a different location as well. You just kind of have to play it by ear and see how it worked out. So same thing, just making a few little wraps here to attach my half round wire so that it won't unravel. I like to use my pliers because it's just such a small little end there that it's hard for me to get to it with my fingers. And now I'm gonna trim and tuck away. Ooh. Tuck away that little wire end so it goes underneath, and I'm gonna hold this little bit here so it doesn't turn, and I'm gonna pull this wire forward like that, push that up to my heart, and wrap around the edge of the heart like that. And now it is attached on the other side, so just a few little wraps here. And we will be done. We will just have to do those wires by the bail is all that's going to be left. So trim and tuck away that little wire end. Let's point that down and tuck it away. There we go. So now it's attached, little heart balloon, and we just have these wires here. Now, if you have seen a bail in my other videos, I have a lot of designs that kind of look like this at the top, and then I do various things with these wires to make some kind of design. So if there's one that you like, that you want to do, feel free to do that. This has a lot of flexibility, a lot of different things that you can do with these wires. What I'm going to do is I'm going to twist the wires that are more at the front by holding them. Since they're square, they can be twisted because those flat edges of the square wire kind of turn and they form this twisted pattern. So I'm holding it with my pliers and I'm just turning the piece like this. You can't do this with round wire, only square. So I'm just twisting them for effect. If you like the look of it, you can do that. And then what I'm going to do is make a heart shape out of them. Just a very, very basic heart shaped design up here, just to go along with the fact that this is a heart. But if you don't like it and you think it looks funny with 2 hearts, then feel free to do something different with these wires as well. So I'm just bending them down just like this, trying to get that little heart to be symmetrical. Once you're happy with that, just go ahead and take the wires and bend them to the back. So from front to back, kind of on the same, in the same location. So it's even like that. And now we're just gonna trim, but leave yourself some ends there so we can tuck them away. I will show you in 1 second. There we go. See my little ends that I left myself there? So those are for the purpose of tucking the wires away by pressing them in here. And that connects that little heart, so it's not going to move, and it also hides the wire ends. So take them, bend them inwards, and press down on them, pressing them in there. Just like that. Just going to adjust these a little bit. And that's it. And then another optional decoration kind of thing you can do is you can take like 5 inches of the half round wire, add a little bead, any kind of bead that you have. It can be like a pink bead if you wanted to go with the whole, you know, pink heart theme, and or match the bead to your stone. But this is just a plain copper bead. It's 3 millimeters in size, and I'm putting my little wire ends like this, like through each side of the heart like that. And that adds the bead to right there, just for like a little extra decoration. I don't know if you like that or not, up to you. And now I'm gonna crisscross these wires here on the back, and you just want to attach them by wrapping them around something. So I'm gonna wrap them around these 3 kind of side wires, because that's where it fits, like that. Because there's like a little hole right there where I can fit my wire. Now I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. Let me kind of move that up, press down on it. Probably want to do at least 4 times just so it's nice and attached before you trim. Like that. And then to trim, all you do is you just have to get in there, because we have this half round wire here. And you have to get in there to cut it so that the end is in there and it's not long enough to reach through. And then I'm just going to press down on that little wire end, and it's just all going to be trapped inside. And same thing on this side. I kind of started it but didn't finish it, so let's finish it up. I think that's at least 4 wraps now, so I'm just going to press down on them and go ahead and trim just right in there so it's nice and short and so it doesn't reach through so you can't feel it. And now the little bead is attached. And here it is, all finished. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a like down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos, which I post every weekend. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!